Well, Jimmy Blue Eyes, whose real name was Vincent, and I don't think anyone in the world knew his real name but me, he uh, kept a low profile, and so probably nobody has heard of him, but he was one of the key gangsters of the Prohibition era all the way through the illegal casino era. And he partnered with four other men in the largest Prohibition gang in America. They brought in legitimate liquor from all over the world, the finest booze there was, and their market was Manhattan, which at that time had over half the wealthy people in America as their market. And the four partners he had, who were famous, were Charlie Luciano, Meyer Lansky, Ben Siegel, and Joe Adonis. And he was one of the five equal partners in this gang, and he helped move all that booze during the 14 years of Prohibition. Afterwards, he led the group into illegal casino gambling. He had done favors for a man in Chicago by the name of Julian Potatoes Kaufman, and he'd been operating illegal, very high-end, elegant casinos in the north side of Chicago for the Bugs Moran gang until the St. Valentine's Day massacre, in which time he disappeared. I mean, his body didn't, he just got out of the way. And he went to New York City, and Jimmy just told Al Capone and anyone else, as long as he's in the state of New York, he's untouchable. Well, Capone was known on a number of cases where he would kill a gang leader and bring in their key people to his gang. So Jimmy cut a deal with Al Capone, and Kaufman went back to Chicago, to not the south side of town because he'd been driven out by the mayor of the time, but Al Capone had the suburbs to the south, and he opened two very elegant casinos then. Well, his wife, then he divorced Kaufman, and Kaufman's wife went down and lived out across the county line from Miami. Well, when Kaufman went to visit her and their 10-year-old child, she was good friends with the sheriff. And Kaufman couldn't pass up the deal and said, "Why don't we open casinos?" And the sheriff was amenable, and because of what Jimmy Blue Eyes had done for him, he says, "You come be my partner." But Kaufman was the operator. And a year or two after that, they brought in Meyer Lansky. So the way history's written, Meyer Lansky was the head man, and really he was brought in as the former partner of a current partner. And eventually he became the head of the operation. So Jimmy Blue Eyes always worked in these operations. He was in Havana with Lansky. He was involved in a number of Vegas places, which is where I met him. And he was a very low-key guy, but he was a man everybody in the underworld respected. He knew how to negotiate. His word was absolute. And along the whole East Coast, throughout the South, and in Las Vegas, whenever people either were having a serious disagreement that could lead to violence, they'd bring him in to make peace between them. And he was known as the Great Peacekeeper for 6 decades. Up until his 90s, I knew of him meeting with people and trying to bring peace between them. And he also put deals together, deals he had nothing to do with. It was when two people were wary of each other, but they both trusted Jimmy. Jimmy would come in, he'd make the deal and tell both of them, "Now you live by it." And so he was one of the most important people in the underworld and has been totally ignored by almost all the writers.